going to have a whinge about the Charles Manson of the Van Dwelling community. Occasionally I have a sook about this guy. You notice every single person he has on is just always got to kiss his ass. Oh, thank you for da-da-da, you know, living in a van, you know. If it wasn't because of you, I couldn't live in a van. I wouldn't have known I could live in a van. Oh, so is living in a van a creation of Bob Wells now? I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for Bob. Oh, right. Okay, right. So yeah, just everything else of you know, a history of van dwelling in America is just doesn't exist in your mind. I'm going to show you something I can bring up on my phone, my other phone here. And I can tell you quite exactly where van dwelling in the United States come from, and it sure as fuck wasn't Bob Wells. And it wasn't Michael Tubbs for putting up the documentary. Hey, you know, more people might have found it, but let's face it, there is a very weird combination. A stunningly strange combination of van dwelling in the United States. As I'm standing on a bunch of fucking sheet metal here. I might just go turn this off. So the light in here. But anyway, so where did van dwelling actually start? In the United States history, where did van dwelling start? Outside of the guys that want to kiss the ass of the man who, you know, is happy for everyone to die of carbon monoxide poisoning and you know, throw sewage into public bins and stuff like that. Where did it start? Well, really speaking, it started with what's known as the Volkswagen Type 2. That was introduced in 1950. In fact, there it is there, also known as the, well, in the States you must call the Volkswagen bus. Over here we call the Volkswagen Combi. But technically it's the Type 92, and actually it started to be produced in November 1949, but realistically people only saw them from 1950 and right through to 67. And you know, and then of course, you know, it changed a little bit. They changed the type they had, and the old school one, the original one actually had a split windscreen, which you should be able to see right there. Now they're really coveted because they're the original ones. Afterwards they changed the design a bit. But really speaking, it became known as the hippie van / bus because of the counterculture movement of the 1960s, and the hippie van bus has become its most popular. Now why would that happen? Because hippies were sleeping in them. So how did Volkswagen come about? Who founded Volkswagen? So there you go. Half of it is due to hippies from the 1960s who were first van dwelling. But where indeed did that van originate from? It was called the Type 2 because it was the second kind of vehicle made by Volkswagen. The first kind was your commonly known you know, Beetle, as they called it. So who founded it? Volkswagen, which actually translates into people's car. The Volksstrom is the people's army, a militia in the last days of the Third Reich. Is a German automaker founded on the 28th of May 1937 by the German Labour Front A Nazi labour union. Yeah, a Nazi labour union. So you can thank the strange combination of Hitler and the hippies in the United States in the 1960s for the creation of van dwelling. What a strange scenario. But no, Bob, I want to thank you because you converted it. Nah, fuck that. Hippies were doing it in the 60s from the second type of vehicle produced by a Nazi labour union founded car company. Oh! One of the things that Hitler done in Germany, aside from expanding armed forces to increase economic activity when he came into power, as they were in like a depression-style slump, not only was to increase the armed forces, but to try to create jobs. Now, he realised that some dumb bastards were hard to employ, and those who couldn't be employed were put to work making roads for the government. And, National Socialism, it's sort of like a series of big companies that are busting themselves to win government contracts because the government is effectively the only customer due to it being socialism. There is also a slant where the laws are sort of modified so that people are encouraged to invest in companies inside their country. And there was a lot of crippling of imports of, there was a hell of a lot of tariffs on imported stuff. And some of the reasons that the Jews first came aground was because of them trying to bring imported French lace in without paying the tariffs. And, the Jews were great at importing a lot of stuff, and, they, as a result, were blamed for the lack of work in Germany. But anyway, never mind all of that. They built all these roads because they had a whole heap of unskilled people who they really couldn't employ in anything else except building roads. Many of those roads were made with concrete and made quite seriously and are still the same roads they run on today. No shit. Many of those roads were also developed so you could use them as runways for planes. No shit. And after all these roads were built, there was another idea, well, bloody hell, we might as well start making cars so we can travel these damn roads. And that was where Volkswagen come into the fore. So, they created the Beetle, and then from there, obviously, after the war was over and all that shit, well, later on come their second type of car, which is the Combi. But it never ceases to amaze me how it's always kissing his ass. You sort of wonder if there's people that get videos that don't kiss his ass enough and he just doesn't bother uploading it. There's another noticeable thing with this guy. Two questions I always ask everyone. How do you go to the toilet and how do you shower? The funny thing is, if you ever notice anybody has a Thetford porta potty, and for those of you who haven't seen mine for the bloody 50th damn time, let's see it again. I've got it sitting in the other room here. There it is. That's actually the proper Thetford one. That's my door closing behind me. That's the proper Thetford one. Of course, there's a lot of that's the extension lead on top. There's a lot of Chinese copycats of these getting around, and yeah, the long and short of it is that's one of the official ones from a Dutch company who, that's the proper porta potty. Don't cost fuck all, but regardless of that, if you ever watch his van tours and somebody has a Thetford porta potty or another common one, oh, this is what I use. Bang, no more questions, bang, straight onto the shower subjects. He will never, you ever notice, sometimes he puts text over the video and it'll say what brand it is and about how much it costs, blah, blah. If there's a Thetford porta potty, nothing more will be said. The sentence in the conversation will stop right there, and they're on to the next question. However, if they are one of these bucket shitters, he will ask them, what sort of toilet lid/seat have you got? What about this? What about that? There's somebody who had a 5-gallon bucket attachment where you can actually have like a threaded... It's a thing that fits on a 5-gallon bucket, on a normal 5-gallon bucket lid point that's got like a thread in it. And then you've got another lid that you screw that into that threaded part. Even someone with one of those, he explained what the thread was called and how much it costs on text over the top of the video. If they're going to send for the porta potty, no questions asked, move on. Even if they've got a copycat version of a porta potty, no more questions, just move on. No text on the screen, no, oh, that's a porta potty, oh, that's a Chinese copy of a porta potty. No, nothing. Just straight onto the shower question. However, if they've got a 5-gallon bucket, let's ask about the seat. Oh, the type of seat. How much does it cost you? What's this one called? Did you get that off Amazon? Can you get it on Amazon? Blah, 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 blah. Prints up the text of it. Prints up the fucking cost of it on the screen as well. All this stuff. And watch the guy's face. He starts smiling and the enthusiasm level is really good. If they've got a porta potty, no smile, no enthusiasm. And I get the sense that that smile and that enthusiasm is directly born from, well, this person is following exactly what I say. And that's enthusiasm. It's not, well, there's two sides of the same coin. It's this person's doing the mainstream way, or this person's following my exact way. Politely regard the fact that in this country it's illegal to put sewage in a public bin. It's illegal to even put sewage in your bins in front of your house that are collected, curbside collection bins. Wheelie bins. It's illegal to put sheep guts in there. It's illegal to put sewage in there. You do realise that some people, you know, garbage men have to empty these bins, and then guys who run the compactors have to get out of their vehicle and you know, after they've been compacting all this junk, get out of the vehicle and go have lunch. Yeah. It's one thing with a diaper because it's all wrapped in, so it's a bit different when it's a thin plastic bag or even two thin plastic bags, because that bursts open real quick. It's not like some baby pissing in a diaper where you've got a whole heap of diaper and not much of anything else. Because babies don't do adult man-sized shit, do they? That's only a baby. Nah, throw that in. People have got to deal with it, you know. People have to deal with rubbish after the fact. I have been on several rubbish ones with several different people, and we got to one once that was, you know, there's a little pier, it's a little jetty, it's not much of a pier, you know, it's just something that people fish off. And what do you know, fish guts, fish heads, this, that, the other, fuck it, everything in this bin beside it. And this guy I'm working with here, he's emptying this bin, and next thing there's the fucking juice of this rotten fish. You've got on these compactors, you've got a little hole down the bottom, so if any liquids come in, it all comes in. And as he's putting this thing up, tips it in the back to then run the compactor and compress it in. It's one of the old style compactors, because, you know, that's the easiest way to do the, you know, the bins in parks and other, you know, areas like that. You know, as he's doing that, he's poured it. He's got shorts on because it's summer, and there's the fish juices and shit pour out the fucking hole on the side, and it's hitting the bitumen and it's spattering. And as it, you know, hits the bitumen, it's spattering, and it's spattered on his frickin' legs, and he's like, oh shit, and he's trying to hold his finger on the compaction button and stand back from this thing at the same time. And he said to me, some people just do not give any fucking thought to who's got to deal with this later. It's in the bin, it's no longer a problem. And it's true. No one gives a fuck after it's in the bin, it's no longer their problem. And he said, for the love of God, if these people could at least just put it in a plastic bag, I wouldn't have the shit spattering all over me. You know, and it was true. Like, and it is true. People don't fucking think worth a shit. Once it's in the bin, it's no longer my problem. But trust me, there's people that still have to deal with this stuff. You know, and here he is, oh, well, you know, shit in plastic bags and throw it in public bins so some poor bastard with a fucking old bin tip up and the big two-stage compaction piece of it has got to fucking deal with this. And as they hit the button, that shit's going to be smudging on the back of that fucking compactor and you'll fucking smell it. Of course, you wouldn't know this if you're a Vanderwall who only thinks just of you and your situation. But that's what you want to do, because you're going to save fucking $60, $70 on buying a copycat, Chinese copycat version of a Thetford porta potty. That thing there is made so that I can go to a public toilet where the shit's supposed to go without any plastic bags or anything like that, and get the little chute that swivels around with a big fancy bloomin' rubber seal in it, spin it around, and empty it straight in the toilet and flush it so it goes down to the bloody sewer processing plant where the shit's supposed to go. No, don't worry about that. You're going to feel so much prouder if you save $60 and shit in bags for the next fucking however many years, because you're proud that you saved $60 in the initial phase and then disgusted every poor bastard who works as a garbage man from there on out and trying to sneak around making sure that no one else is watching as you get a clear plastic bag with shit in it and put it inside a fucking public bin and hope to hell that nobody sees you doing it, because you've got to sneak around, because who wants to see you carrying a bag of shit and realise you're the guy who just stuck it in the bin? Why go through all this? Go in a public toilet, close the little cubicle door and empty the Thetford porta potty. It's the way it's built, what it says in the instructions. No embarrassing, no nothing. Half the average Joes out there who have never seen one of these or never been or never had an RV doesn't even know what the fuck that canister is that you're carrying. It's a plastic thing with a handle. A bit of pipe thing there that folds out. They don't fucking know. You get the average millennial who doesn't know anything about van life, who doesn't own an RV, whose parents never owned an RV, they wouldn't even know what the fuck you're carrying. Could be a goddamn sewing machine case for all they'd know. But it doesn't matter, because you're doing it the proper way. You're not doing anything illegal. You're just using a public toilet versus look right, look left, no one else around. Okay, it's fairly early in the morning. Quick, get your fucking 3 or 4 shit bags you've been hoarding up for the last 3 or 4 days. Jump over to the public bin, put them in the bin and drive off before any cop realises that you're hurling fucking sewage into a bin. Why fucking do this? And the dickhead's proud that he convinces people to do it versus spending a couple extra dollars and going with something that's approved by plumbing associations, by friggin' sewerage fucking regulation, all that stuff, all approved, all passed, all legitimate. No snooping around carrying shit bags, trying to put them in public bins at the, at 5 a.m. before anyone else is at the park. No trying to go behind businesses to hurl in their dumpsters, for the fucking, some poor bastard to go out there and go, what the hell is going on with that bin? I can smell something foul. No thin little plastic bags likely to break. Just because you got some... I started getting, look at these friggin... Oh, they're in the van. Latex gloves. I got one out of the packet. Oh, they're nice cheap gloves. Yeah, they're also not tested. Some of them got fucking holes in the gloves. I hope you don't get any plastic bags that are sort of that, like, dollar store quality, because you're all trying to save money. And, well, a double bag it. Well, it doesn't matter because, it's still as thin as hell, Don't want to fucking accidentally be trying to find your way around the cabin at night and whoop, stand up. Why fucking do all this stuff to yourself, the other members of the public, the snooping around? You got enough snooping around factor living in a van as it is without trying to snoop around, trying to get rid of shitbags. You know, and I did like this sort of stuff, and there he is out there preaching to 300,000 subscribers, this stuff. It's fucking wrong, you know? And it's bullshit. But anyway, that's just my little take on Charles Manson of the van dwelling community and all this blimmin' bucket shitting stuff. You know, it's just, you know, there's a polite, proper way to do it, but all for the sake of saving a lousy fucking $60 US versus going and buying a Chinese copycat one, you know? Fucking hell.